When the TV series Dexter came out in 2006, it was immediately a hit. Everyone was talking about it, and those who were yet to watch it made sure it was added to their to-watch list. But for one man, it didn't end there. He became inspired, but not for the right reasons. His love and obsession for the TV series made him think he could do what the fictional character Dexter did, and not in the fictional world but in the real world. This is the case of Johnny Altinger, a young man who unfortunately lost his life to a wannabe serial killer. John Brian Altinger, known by friends and family as Johnny, was born in April of 1970, in Edmonton, Canada. Growing up, computers were the center of his universe. He loved computers and was tech-savvy even from a young age. Getting his first computer at age 12 only increased his love for technology. When the family moved to British Columbia years later, his love for computers remained. Johnny grew up to be a quiet and affectionate young man. He was one who was always willing to help those around him, no matter the situation. He was down to earth, loving, giving and hardworking, and he also loved motorbikes. Johnny moved back to Edmonton in the late 1990s, studied at the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology and soon landed a job at Argus Machine, an oil field equipment manufacturer just south of Edmonton, where he worked the night shift in quality control, checking machine parts. When Johnny turned 38 in 2008 and was still single, he decided to put himself out there. He had faced many ups and downs in his life and was now in a much better place. He decided to do this by going on different dating sites. He really wanted to settle down, and so, he went on his quest of finding someone who would complete him. One of the dating sites he used was Plenty of Fish, which he was very active on. In October of 2008, Johnny met Jen on the site. She seemed like the kind of woman he wanted as a long-term partner, and so the two got talking. They spent so much time getting to know each other online and soon decided they wanted to know if the chemistry they had while talking online would be evident when they met face to face. They decided to meet on Friday, October 10, 2008 at a location of Jen's choosing. She hadn't given him the actual address of the place, just directions to the location. When Johnny told a friend he was going to meet up with a woman, his friend wasn't really comfortable as their place of meeting had no address. To help his friend feel better, he sent his trusted friend the directions he had been given, and with that, he was told to be careful and to reach out when he got back. But days passed and there was no word from Johnny. Friends and family became worried. No one could reach him, and he hadn't showed up to work as well. Then suddenly on the 13th of October, friends and family all got emails from Johnny. According to this email, the meeting with Jen had gone so smoothly and she had taken him on an extended vacation to Costa Rica. For many of his friends, one of them being a former love interest, these emails were strange. Johnny usually signed his emails to friends with a joke or a smiley face, but there was none of that. His workplace also received a resignation letter from Johnny's email address, but there was no response to a request for a forwarding address for sending a final paycheck. Friends reported Johnny missing to the authorities, but they weren't taken seriously. His friends then proceeded to his apartment to search for clues. Dirty dishes, his passport, as well as other travel documents he would have needed were all in his apartment. Another thing that stood out to friends was that Johnny wasn't the kind of person to up and leave, especially when it came to his motorbikes. Whenever he was going out of town, he would always cover them or even get someone to babysit them. They were his babies, but when his friends got to his apartment, his bikes were uncovered, and knowing who Johnny was, he would never travel, leaving them like that. A lot of things didn't add up, and so, they went back to the police, who took them serious this time. The police were given the directions to Johnny's last known location, the place where he was supposed to meet up with Jen. When they got there, they realized it wasn't a house but a garage. At the garage, they met then 29-year-old Mark Twitchell. He told the police he was renting the garage as he was a budding filmmaker and used the place to shoot movies. But authorities noticed some things there in the garage, one of them being blood, but Mark claimed it was props used for filming. When shown pictures of Johnny, he claimed to remember him as the man who had knocked on his window, asking him if he wanted to buy a car for $40 as he was headed to Costa Rica for vacation. His description of the car he claimed to have bought matched the description of Johnny's car. Authorities didn't believe the story he gave them and decided to look into him some more. They impounded his laptop and car and to their horror, found the evidence they needed. In the trunk of Mark's car was blood determined to be Johnny Altinger's blood. Also, they found a document on Mark's laptop titled SK Confessions, believed to mean serial killer confessions. It seemed like a confession of sorts, with a detailed description of how the killer murdered a man after luring him into a garage. It also mentioned another person who survived, but Mark claimed the document was a work of fiction. Looking into it some more, the police found out the latter part was true. A week before Johnny's disappearance, Gilles Tatro, a computer company contractor, was at the same location to meet a woman, Sheena. Instead, he was attacked by a man wearing a hockey mask. The two got into a struggle, and Gilles managed to break free. He never reported the incident because he felt embarrassed. Also, a test of the garage floor revealed evidence of blood in addition to Johnny's tooth. Mark Twitchell was arrested on the 31st of October 2008 for the murder of Johnny Altinger. With all the evidence leveled against him, Mark soon confessed to the murder but claimed it was in self-defense. In June of 2010, he took police to the sewer he had dumped Johnny's body in. The authorities believed that Mark first hit Johnny with a lead pipe, then stabbed and dismembered him before dumping the body in a sewer. In March of 2011, Mark Twitchell went on trial for the murder of Johnny Altinger. Prosecutors called Gilles Tatro to testify, and to prove that what Mark had described in his SK Confessions was not a work of fiction, but an account of what had actually happened. On April 12, 2011, Mark Twitchell was convicted of first-degree murder for the death of Johnny Altinger, and sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole for 25 years. All Johnny Altinger wanted was to meet a good woman, one he could settle down with, but unfortunately, he was tricked and lost his life. May his soul continue to rest in peace.